about everybody, why are we doing the Pearl of the Caribbean? And that's a legitimate question. It's a real question. And so we had to answer that question ourselves. I would say to you that the number one thing really is underperformance. That when you look at St. Lucia as a destination, either whether it's tourism, agriculture, manufacturing, or even just overall as a destination, you would have to say that St. Lucia, based on its potential, has grossly underperformed. And that impact is felt where? In Vieux Fort. Because when you look at the potential of Vieux Fort, it screams at you as to what that potential is. Do you already have an international airport? You have a deep water harbor, and you have all that flat land, and yet one of the most deprived areas that we have in St. Lucia is Vieux Fort. And not only has that been working to the detriment of the people in the south, but more importantly has been working to the detriment of the people of St. Lucia. And here's the most important thing. I believe in controlling our own destiny. I hate things when they happen by chance, that you have to depend on luck to make things happen. But if we want to take control of our own destiny, it means that we have to make some bold and courageous decisions. Because as Minister Joseph said, no pain, no gain. If you're not willing to take that risk, nothing is going to change. We need economic stability. In order to get economic stability in this country, we must be more concerned about the economic impact of our land. And when you start measuring economic impact by land, you start understanding where should we be spending our resources. Is agriculture important to St. Lucia? Incredibly important. Is manufacturing important to St. Lucia? Incredibly important. But the industry that creates the greatest amount of economic impact per acre is tourism. And tourism now is the link to everything else, because tourism creates opportunities for manufacturing, tourism creates opportunities for agriculture, but more importantly, the biggest industry that we have yet to exploit to its fullest potential, offshore financial services, tourism again provides the infrastructure to allow us to be competitive in that sector. Controlling your own destiny is being in an industry in which you can compete on a global basis. So let's look at the other industry that had so much promise in the 70s and the 80s in the South. Offshore manufacturing. And I was a young economist, and when I left the Ministry of Economic Development, I went to work in Washington, D.C. with a program called ESIPS, Eastern Caribbean Investment Promotion Services. And what we were doing under the CBI, the Caribbean Basin Initiative, was trying to attract light manufacturing companies to set up operations in St. Lucia and the rest of the Caribbean. And what became very apparent to me was we were not in control of our own destiny in that industry. We had to depend on quotas and all kinds of incentives from other countries, which, when you looked at those countries, that those incentives were unsustainable in their own countries. And so we could never be successful on our own. The cost of electricity, the cost of transportation, the cost of labor, we were just not going to be competitive. And that's how I made the transition into tourism. Because what I start realizing with tourism is that we could be in charge of our own destiny. And I grew up in an era in which people were using things to describe tourism as vulnerable, insensitive, unsustainable. Yet, in 1991, we had the Gulf War. Tourism survived. We had SARS. Tourism survived. We had Gulf War. Tourism survived. We've had hurricanes. Tourism has survived. We've had the worst economic recession in our lifetime, and the fastest growing industry after 2008 on a global basis was tourism. And we have an opportunity to create a product here that we can differentiate ourselves and be in control of our own destiny. Pearl of the Caribbean has a couple of incredible elements. One of the most important elements to it is Mr. Teo Aking. What Teo brings to the table is not only an individual who is going to invest his own money, but has understood that in order to attract other people to invest in your country, you have to sell them a vision. And when this project started off with the mangrove, and we could not use the mangrove, not because he didn't want to use it, not because of the environmental issues, but because we had a garbage dump problem, he quickly turned around and we looked at exploring, and the word here is exploring, the opportunity of sites C and sites B, Il Pirata and Point Sab. My government has promised you that we will be transparent in everything that we're doing. When we first met with Mr. Teo Aking, we made the announcement. When we signed the agreement to explore those opportunities and put together a master plan for the South, I did it in front of the media. I'm here today to show you, visibly, in picture, what the dream is. And now we must continue the work to make sure that we have the environmental impact studies done, that we have the social impact studies done, that we make sure that we enhance the marine life that we have, that we ensure that we make Maria Island better than it is today and more accessible, because it is no point preserving things if it cannot be done in a sustainable way, in which it's going to be able to make a tangible benefit to the people of this country. So the Pearl of the Caribbean is offering a mixed-use opportunity, meaning it's not just hotels. It is a horse racing track, which is going to be done on a world-class scale. And we know that horse racing is sports of kings. And luckily for us, we have a couple of them here today. I've asked Mr. Teo Aking to assist me and the government in looking at how we can design the airport. We've agreed that we're going to add a cruise ship terminal so we can do home porting. Carnival and other cruise lines have been down here to explore that. I'm hoping to receive presentations from them very soon. As the Minister of Tourism has indicated, that we have another 1,000 hotel rooms coming into the South. So this project is not coming in by itself. Housing is going to be a critical component in the South, because we believe that there will be people that will be migrating back down to the South. And we believe that we need to raise the standard of housing in the South in general. Agriculture. We're going to be spending a lot of money in this year's budget in putting in the feeder roads. We're working on getting the banana sector back off the ground, trying to introduce more greenhouses and also hydroponics. Training. We've already started with training. I think it's 100 young people right now in the first quarter. 150 young people in the first quarter. And the goal is to get that number up to 1,000 young people in St. Lucia every single year, with the opportunity of getting them onto the cruise ships in which they can get further training, and that by the time 2-3 years comes down the pipeline, these new hotels are coming in, and we have young St. Lucians who are trained and ready to get into these jobs. Behind the stadium, we want to put a university park. We have seen the success of offshore universities in the Caribbean, Grenada, Dominica, and in St. Kitts, to name a few. And we feel that that is a great attraction for us. And we think that Viewfort is incredibly well placed to be able to be the capital of that industry. So Mr. Teo Aking has proven to us what? That he has the experience. This is not the first time he's put together a master development. He's shown us that he has the vision to be able to put together this kind of proposal and this kind of presentation in 3 months. I think is remarkable, but it means that you have an eye for those things, and I want to say thank you so much for the work that you've done so far, sir. He's also shown me that he has the contacts, the number of business people and world leaders that he knows and that he's able to bring to the benefit of St. Lucia. I thank you so much, and we got to see some of them here today. I particularly want to highlight Dr. Lam and his wife who are here. Dr. Lam is from Macau and is one of the largest casino operators in Macau. And it's so nice to have you here in St. Lucia. And I look forward to seeing you back in the The other thing was that he is one of the most accredited architects in Asia with an emphasis on green, on the environment. We could not ask for a better person at this time to assist St. Lucia to help us develop our full potential. So I thank you very, very much. I asked Mr. Joseph whether he had stolen my notes. I thought maybe there was another leak this last night. Because bold and courageous, that is what St. Lucia requires right now, is to be bold and to be courageous and to take control of our own destiny. Amongst our midst, there are always going to be the naysayers, the people that all they can do is criticize, but never sit back and ask, what about all the other people who are suffering? Do they live in those people's homes? What is it to be unemployed in this country and to also to be poor? Shouldn't that be the priority of what we're trying to do? Does politics have no boundaries? And I'm asking the people of St. Lucia to come out and support this initiative. You may not like every detail of it, but what we're doing is putting a plan on the table of being able to move this country forward. Over the last 20 years, one political party has had control of the government for 15 years. And I ask you, the unemployment has existed, the poverty has existed, the potential has existed. Why is it that nothing was done? In fact, Sir John started that process in building the airport terminal, in building Halcyon Days, which became a cornerstone to be able to get into development in the South, creating the industrial parks. But unfortunately, we have not continued to capitalize on that opportunity. It is the intention of my government, with the assistance of what Mr. Teo King has done and his team, to now drive the South in order to be able for us to take the bold and courageous decisions and to take our rightful place in the world. So I want to thank you very, very much, sir. The great news is that the vast majority of St. Lucians agree with that. When we were elected in this government, we were elected under the theme of to build a new St. Lucia. And we didn't just marginally win this election, we won it with one of the largest mandates ever. And it's intention of this government to fulfill that mandate, very clearly specified in our manifesto, was the importance of the South. That if we were going to solve the social problems that are taking place and affecting young people, too many of them were being forced to migrate from the South up north. The only way that we can prevent that from happening is to create opportunity for them in the South, and that is what this project specifically does. The last thing I want to say is that it is okay to dream. It is okay to have a vision. But singularly, the most important aspect of success is implementation. It means that somebody has to pull the trigger at some point. We have to have the ability to get on with what we have to do. So today we're here to announce that this is what the dream is, and that we intend to have full EIA studies. We intend to allow the public of St. Lucia to digest this, to determine what they like, what they don't like, to get the feedback from the South and the citizens of the South, and to make sure that what the plans that we have and the scale that we have is compatible with the capacity of St. Lucia to be able to grow. But once we are satisfied that we've done those things, we must make the decision to implement. And as such, I am going to be appointing a task force specifically for this project, with all kinds of different departments on it, to ensure that we do the necessary work, but at the same time that we're ready to implement this project as soon as all the work has been completed. So again, thank you very, very, very much. I want to say that St. Lucia, it's time for us to take control of our own destiny. Let us stop living in mediocrity. Let us develop our assets for all the citizens in the South and for St. Lucia. The time for change is now. I thank you very much.